It's not about them. It's about this. You keep thinking about them, even though they've left. Even though it's over. Even though your rational mind knows they're not meant for you anymore. You still feel that invisible pull. That emotional ache. That looping thought that whispers, what if? No matter how much time passes, the bond feels unbreakable, and it hurts. You ask yourself, why can't I let go? Why do I still feel this deeply when I know they've moved on? Here's the truth, and it might shock you. The reason you can't let go has nothing to do with them. It's not about who they are. It's about what they represent inside of you. In this video, we're going deep. We'll explore the Buddhist perspective on emotional attachment, why we cling, how suffering begins, and how to gently untangle yourself from emotional bonds that were never meant to last. You'll also discover how your nervous system, your karma, and your unconscious mind are all playing a role in why letting go feels impossible, and how you can finally free yourself without losing your heart in the process. Because letting go isn't forgetting. It's not pretending you never cared. It's choosing your freedom, one breath at a time. So if you've ever loved someone so deeply that losing them felt like losing yourself, stay until the end. This might be the clarity your soul has been waiting for. Let's begin with the uncomfortable truth. You're not attached to them. You're attached to the version of yourself that you felt in their presence. The warmth you remember wasn't just about what they did or said. It was about who you temporarily became when they were near. More alive, more seen, more hopeful, more whole. They didn't complete you. They revealed a piece of you that was always waiting to be felt. And when that connection ends, whether by choice, betrayal, distance, or death, it leaves behind an energetic wound. Not just a mental memory, a cellular imprint. According to Buddhist psychology, attachment is the root of suffering not because we love, but because we confuse love with possession. We believe that what we feel must stay with the object that awakened it. We tie the emotion to the person, and in doing so, we give away our power. But here's the sacred truth the Buddha taught. All things that arise also pass away. That includes relationships, roles, emotional highs. The goal is not to hold on, but to learn how to release without abandoning the truth of what was real. When you can't let go of someone, it's usually because some part of you was activated in that connection that you haven't fully reclaimed. Maybe they mirrored back a part of you you'd buried. Maybe they offered you the illusion of safety, of being enough, of being finally chosen. And when they left, it wasn't just them you lost. It was the version of yourself that only existed in that dynamic. But here's the miracle hidden in that grief. That version of you was never theirs to give you. It was always yours. Their presence only unlocked what was dormant. So the process of letting go isn't about forgetting them. It's about extracting your power from the projection you placed on them. It's about gently saying, "Thank you for showing me who I am. Now I will become it on my own." Have you ever realized that what hurt the most wasn't losing them, but losing who you thought you were around them? If this resonates, drop a mirror in the comments. Your insight might help someone else break free. In the next section, we'll explore how your nervous system plays a hidden role in your inability to let go, and how attachment becomes a physiological addiction. Let's go deeper into your biology. The reason you can't let go isn't just emotional, it's neurological. Because your nervous system doesn't process relationships in logical terms, it processes them through safety cues and survival signals. When you bonded with this person, whether for weeks, years, or decades, your nervous system mapped them as home. Their voice, their scent, their presence, all became associated with regulation, with familiarity, even if the relationship wasn't healthy. This is known as co-regulation. It's a subconscious process where your body uses another person's nervous system to find balance. It's part of what makes love feel grounding and addictive at the same time. And when they're gone, that regulatory anchor disappears. Your body goes into withdrawal, Not unlike detoxing from a drug, you feel unsteady, unsafe, disoriented. Your heart aches, not just because you miss them, but because your system was trained to stabilize through them. This is why the absence feels unbearable. It's not just emotional grief, it's a somatic panic. Your nervous system doesn't understand breakups. It only understands that a source of safety has vanished, and until a new internal source is established, your body will continue looping in the energy of their memory, begging for reconnection. But here's where the healing begins. You can teach your system that safety lives inside you now. You can rebuild that regulation, breath by breath, presence by presence, without needing their voice, their validation, or their return. Somatic healing, breathwork, and mindfulness practices retrain your vagus nerve, the core component of your parasympathetic system, to find calm without external anchors. This is the work of energetic liberation, to become your own source of safety, to soothe the ache, not by erasing the past, but by showing your body a new rhythm of peace. As Buddhism teaches, attachment comes not from love itself, but from the fear of losing what we believe we need to survive. But real love does not bind, it liberates, and it begins with the body. Have you ever noticed how your body tenses when you think of them, or softens when you recall a warm moment? That's your nervous system speaking. Drop a regulate in the comments if you're ready to feel safe again, even without them. Up next, we'll uncover how karmic memory and emotional enmeshment create invisible cords that keep you bound, even after the relationship ends. There's a reason why certain connections feel bigger than logic, even when they're over, even when they hurt, even when every cell in your body wants to move on. There's something deeper that keeps pulling you back. This may not be about trauma, longing, or even love. It might be karma. In Buddhist philosophy, karma isn't punishment or fate. It's memory, energetic memory stored across lifetimes, encoded not just in your soul, but in your body. When you meet someone and feel an instant familiarity, a spark, a magnetic pull, an unexplainable knowing, what you're feeling could be the echo of a karmic bond. These bonds often feel overwhelming because they're not just rooted in the present. They are loops trying to complete themselves, lessons seeking integration, patterns calling to be resolved. When you can't let go of someone, it may be because your soul recognizes something unfinished, an emotional agreement that wasn't fulfilled, a pain that wasn't healed, or a dynamic that is repeating from long ago. This is what some call soul contracts, invisible commitments between two beings to help each other evolve, even through difficulty, even through separation. And here's where it gets complicated. Even after someone leaves your life, the emotional charge of that bond can remain active. Why? Because emotions, especially ones tied to strong memories, get stored in your energy field. They create what many spiritual traditions call cords, energetic links that transmit emotional energy between two people, regardless of time or distance. These cords can keep you emotionally fused to someone, replaying old stories, old pain, old longing, even when your mind wants to move forward. It's like part of your soul is still sitting in a memory, waiting to be acknowledged or released. But here's the liberating truth. Karmic cords are not forever. They are not chains. They are teachers. And once the lesson is embodied, the energy dissolves. Not because you've forgotten, but because you've finally remembered who you are without them. Letting go of karmic ties doesn't mean cutting someone out with anger. It means reclaiming your energy, blessing the role they played, and choosing to carry only the wisdom, not the wound. Have you ever felt like someone from your past was unfinished business on a soul level? If so, you're not alone. Comment karma below if you've ever sensed a connection that went beyond this lifetime. Up next, we'll explore the psychology of emotional addiction and how the brain itself can become chemically dependent on missing someone. Let's talk about the science that few people understand. Missing someone can become a chemical addiction, not a metaphor, not poetic language, a real neurological loop. When you're in a relationship, especially one that triggers intense emotions like longing, desire, or abandonment. Your brain starts to build reward pathways based on that person's presence. Every text, touch, conversation, or glance releases dopamine, the feel-good chemical that reinforces pleasure and attachment. It's the same system that drives gambling, drug use, and even social media addiction. But here's the trap. When that person is suddenly gone, your brain doesn't stop seeking the reward. Instead, it becomes obsessed with the loss. But here's the trap. When that person is suddenly gone, your brain doesn't stop seeking the reward. Instead, it becomes obsessed with the loss. Every memory becomes a trigger. Every photo, song, or place associated with them activates that craving. You replay moments, not because you want to, but because your brain is trying to restore the chemical balance it had before. This is what neuroscientists call a dopamine feedback loop. Your brain isn't clinging to the person, it's chasing the emotional high it once received through them. And the longer that loop continues, the deeper it becomes ingrained. You begin to crave their presence the way someone might crave sugar, caffeine, or a drug. Now pair that with emotional trauma, abandonment wounds, or unmet childhood needs, and the bond becomes even stronger. Not because it's love in its purest form, but because it's become a coping mechanism. Here's the good news. Just like any addiction, the brain can be rewired. Through intentional practices like gratitude, breathwork, movement, and meditation, you can begin to produce those feel-good chemicals without depending on the person who once delivered them. You create new associations, new emotional highs, new safety patterns. Over time, the emotional charge starts to fade, not because you're forgetting them, but because you're no longer chemically dependent on their memory to feel alive. As Buddhist philosophy teaches, clinging arises not from love, but from craving. And once craving dissolves, so does suffering. Real love, even for someone you've lost, becomes peaceful. It no longer aches. It simply exists, unbound, unattached, alive in the heart, but no longer hijacking the mind. Have you ever noticed how your body reacts when you see a reminder of them? Faster heartbeat, tight chest, distracted thoughts. That's not weakness. That's chemistry. Comment free if you're ready to retrain your brain and take your energy back. Up next, we'll explore how spiritual bypassing blocks healing and why you don't need to move on to move forward. One of the most damaging myths in modern spirituality is this: let it go and raise your vibration. Move on. Forgive. Be grateful. Focus on the lesson. While those ideas hold truth, when used too early, they become a form of spiritual bypassing, a way to avoid the necessary process of grief, pain, and emotional digestion. Letting go is not a mindset, it's a metabolizing of the emotional experience. And like the body, the heart can't process what it hasn't had time to fully feel. In Buddhism, there's a deep respect for dukkha, suffering, as an inherent part of life. The goal is not to avoid pain, but to meet it with presence, to move through the waves of loss with mindfulness, not suppression. When we force ourselves to get over someone too quickly, we risk creating emotional residue. Grief that has no space becomes tension in the body. Unspoken sadness becomes fatigue, anxiety, even numbness. You may tell yourself you've moved on, but part of your energy is still stuck in the unprocessed memory. That's why true healing doesn't come from rushing forward. It comes from sitting in the ashes of what ended. Breathing through the ache, honoring what it meant, without collapsing into it or running from it. There is a sacred grief that Buddhists refer to as the softening of clinging. It's the moment you still feel love for someone, but no longer feel the need to own them. You see their face in your mind, and instead of pain or panic, you feel stillness, acceptance, maybe even gratitude. But to reach that stillness, you have to move through the fire. You have to allow yourself the permission to not be okay for a while, to cry, to long, to write letters you'll never send, to listen to the songs that hurt. until they don't anymore. This is the spiritual path of grieving, and it's not linear. Some days you'll feel free, others shattered. That doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're honest. You can't heal what you refuse to feel, and once you've moved through it, truly felt it, honored it, blessed it, you'll find yourself standing on the other side. Not the same person, but someone deeper, clearer, lighter. What's one thing you still haven't allowed yourself to grieve fully? You don't need to explain. Just comment, permission below, if you're ready to move through instead of pretending you're already past it. Up next, we'll shift into the healing phase, how to retrieve the parts of yourself you left behind in them, and begin the journey of energetic reintegration. Letting go isn't just about saying goodbye to someone else. It's about calling your own energy back. Because in every deep emotional bond, we unconsciously leave pieces of ourselves in the other person, our joy, our vulnerability, our dreams, our identity. We begin to associate parts of who we are, our value, our purpose, our sense of aliveness, with them. And when they're gone, it feels like a part of us is missing too. That's not just sadness, it's energetic fragmentation. According to Buddhist psychology and energy medicine, these fragments are real. Your attention, your memory, your life force becomes entangled with another's field, and unless consciously reclaimed, you continue, leaking energy into a connection that no longer exists in form, but lives on in vibration. This is why you might feel drained without knowing why their name still has the power to trigger a wave of emotion, why you can't fully step into new relationships, new opportunities, or new phases of life, because part of you is still with them. But here's the truth. Everything you saw in them, every emotion, every reflection, every version of yourself that felt alive, was never about them. It was always about you. They were the mirror, the catalyst, the spark, but the fire, the essence, that belongs to you. Now is the time to call those parts back, to close your eyes, breathe deeply, and speak inwardly. I reclaim the parts of me I gave away. I welcome home the fragments of my heart. I am whole again, not because they returned, but because I did. This isn't imagination. It's realignment. You're recalibrating your energy field. You're ending the leak. You're returning to yourself, not the version that existed with them, but the version that was waiting beneath the attachment. From the Buddhist view, healing doesn't mean erasing. It means remembering who you are beneath the illusion of separation. It means bowing to the role they played in your awakening, then turning inward and finding the source of that feeling within you. This is the art of reintegration, the return to inner sovereignty. And when you retrieve those pieces, when your energy is whole again, you'll begin to attract from a new frequency, not one of longing or lack, but one of embodiment, of knowing, of quiet. Radiance. Have you ever felt like you lost a part of yourself in someone, and now you're ready to call it back? Comment return if you're reclaiming your energy, piece by sacred piece. Coming up, one powerful daily ritual to help you release attachment energetically and begin creating peace in real time. You don't let go of someone by force. You let go through presence, repetition, and softness. Because emotional attachment isn't just a thought you erase. It's a pattern woven into your breath, your body, your field. And like any energetic knot, it loosens a little more each time you choose to meet it with awareness. This simple ritual is something you can do every day, first thing in the morning, before bed, or any moment your heart aches with the memory of them. It's not about forgetting. It's about freeing your energy, gently, without guilt, and without denial. Step 1. Create a quiet space. Sit or lie down in a space where you won't be disturbed. Close your eyes. Place one hand over your heart and the other over your solar plexus, the center of your personal power. Begin to breathe deeply, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Let the breath be slow, full, and honest. Allow whatever emotions rise, resistance, longing, sadness, anger, to simply be. Step 2. Visualize the cord now. Bring their image into your mind, not to reopen the wound, but to witness what still holds you. Imagine a glowing cord of light between your heart and theirs. This cord represents emotional energy, the attention, hopes, fears, and memories still flowing between you. Don't judge it. Just observe. Now gently begin to breathe into that cord. With each exhale, imagine that energy softening, not cutting it, but loosening it. Allow the tension to dissolve. Step 3. Reclaim your energy, say inwardly or aloud, with deep intention. I thank you for the lessons you brought me. I honor what we shared. But I now release what no longer serves me. As you breathe, visualize your energy returning back into your body, as golden light, warmth, or any sensation that feels real. See the cord becoming lighter, more translucent, until it floats away. Place both hands over your heart. Whisper, I am whole again. Step 4. Anchor the present, open your eyes slowly. Notice how your body feels. Anchor yourself in the room. Touch something solid. Wiggle your fingers. Drink water. You're here now, not in the past, not in the memory, but in your power. Repeat this ritual daily, even for 5 minutes. Each time you'll reclaim a little more space. Each time the grip will soften, and one day you'll think of them and feel nothing but stillness. Try this practice for the next 7 days and notice how your energy shifts. If you're committed, comment release below, not just as a word, but as a declaration of your choice to come home to yourself. In our final section, we'll wrap this journey with a powerful reflection and a closing question that will stay with you long after this video ends. Take one more breath, not to rush to the end, but to return to your body, to this moment, to the quiet truth within you. You've spent so much energy trying to understand why you couldn't let go. You've analyzed the memories, the mistakes, the what-ifs. You've tried to make peace with their absence, or maybe even their presence in someone else's life, and still, something inside you held on. But here's what you now understand, perhaps more clearly than ever. Letting go was never about them. It was always about the energy inside of you that stayed behind, waiting for you to come back for it, and now you are. You've seen how your nervous system, your karma, your emotional brain, all played a role in keeping you tethered, not out of weakness, but out of survival, out of longing, out of memory. But you've also learned something sacred, that the love you thought belonged to them was yours all along, that the version of you that came alive in their presence still exists, that healing doesn't mean forgetting, it means reclaiming. Piece by piece, memory by memory, breath by breath. You've remembered that your soul cannot be owned, that your heart is still whole, even if it was once broken, that every bond that falls away clears space for something more aligned, something rooted in truth, in sovereignty, in self-love. In Buddhist wisdom, freedom doesn't come from detachment. It comes from non-clinging. You can still love someone deeply and no longer need them. You can still remember and no longer ache. You can still honor the story and step into a new one. So here is the question I leave with you. What are you ready to return to yourself? Starting today? What piece of your energy, your joy, your power, are you calling home now? Let that be your vow, your practice, your quiet revolution. Because the truth is, you were never holding on to them. You were holding on to the part of you that forgot how to let go, and now you remember. If this message reached something tender in you, comment, I'm ready. Not for them, for you, for your next chapter. If this journey helped you breathe deeper, see clearer, or feel lighter, subscribe. Not for numbers or noise, but because this space is sacred. And every step you take back to yourself deserves to be honored, guided, and witnessed. You are not alone. You are healing. You are becoming whole. Again.